Let's talk about the thesis point of the DBQ. Now, I've already gone through and read through the instructions, I read and analyzed the prompt, and I've read all 7 documents. Before I write my essay, I want to go in with some kind of a plan, and I always like to write my thesis first. It's kind of the easiest point to get, but I need to pay attention. So let's look at these instructions again. It actually contains all the rules for the thesis right here. I need to make sure that I respond to the prompt with a historically defensible thesis that establishes a line of reasoning. And I'm really obsessed with each of these phrases because these are the 3 reasons you won't get a point. So if you don't effectively respond to the prompt, no thesis point. If you don't have a historically defensible claim, you're not going to get the point. And if you don't establish a line of reasoning, you're not going to get the point. So let's go back to my question. It said, evaluate whether European imperialism in the period from 1840 to 1914 was motivated primarily by economic or cultural concerns. So, okay, I need to make sure that I'm coming up with some answer to whether or not this was motivated primarily by economic or cultural concerns. Now I'm going to put my thesis right here, right underneath the question, so I can make sure I'm answering it. So I'll write thesis, and here's what I'll say. European imperialism in the period 1840 to 1914 was primarily motivated by. And part of what I'm doing here, this is pretty lazy, but I'm copying some of the language from the prompt to show that I'm answering the prompt. This isn't about what my personal feelings about colonialism are. This isn't an essay about throughout the ages, many kinds of imperialisms and colonies have taken place. This isn't about the period from 1500 to 1600. This is about this narrow period. And I need to identify whether it's economic or cultural concerns. So I noticed a lot of these sources talk about economic reasons. So this would be 1, 2, I saw a little bit of in 3, I saw it at the end of document 4, I saw a little bit in document 6, and maybe a little bit here, in document 7. But I also saw cultural reasons in at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the sources as well. And so I really get to pick. They've braided cultural and economic reasons throughout all of the sources on purpose. I'm going to say it's primarily by economic concerns. Now, this will not get the thesis point. I've responded to the prompt. In fact, I've copied it down, which is pretty lazy. You want to have a little bit more diverse vocabulary. But I haven't established a line of reasoning. I've just asserted something plainly. So what I can do is now write a second sentence, which together with this sentence will earn the thesis. Or, which is what I prefer to do, I could just put the word because in here. And this establishes a nice line of reasoning for them. So I can say because European countries competed with one another for control of the global economy, especially with regards to, I'll say, long distance trade and control over production. Now, let's grade this. Do I get the thesis point? Did I respond to the prompt about whether European imperialism was motivated primarily by economic or cultural concerns? Yes. Is my claim defensible from a historical point of view? Yes. And do I establish a line of reasoning? Do I give the because in the thesis or in a second sentence? And yes, so because I've done that, I'll earn the 1 point for thesis. Couple of tips about the thesis. It's always a good idea to write it out first. It'll help you structure your essay. Second is you should always put it at the end of your first paragraph and ideally right after your contextualization. So you can finish the first paragraph showing that you've answered the question with some historical context with a thesis that checks the 3 boxes, that you've responded to the prompt with a line of reasoning that is a credible historical claim. You do all of that and you'll have the thesis point ready before you even begin writing.